First off, a lion swimming in the ocean? Lions don't like water. If you placed it near a river or some sort of fresh water source, that makes sense. But you find yourself in the ocean, 20-foot waves, I'm assuming it's off the coast of South Africa, coming up against a full-grown 800-pound tuna with his 20 or 30 friends, you lose that battle. You lose that battle 9 times out of 10. Guess what? You've wandered into our school of tuna, and we now have a taste of lion. We've talked to ourselves. We've communicated and said, you know what? Lion tastes good. Let's go get some more lion. We've developed a system to establish a beachhead and aggressively hunt you and your family. And we will corner your pride, your children, your offspring. How are you going to do that? We will construct a series of breathing apparatus. We will be able to trap certain amounts of oxygen. It's not going to be days at a time, but an hour, hour 45, no problem. That will give us enough time to figure out where you live, go back to the sea, get more oxygen, and then stop you. You just lost your own game. You're outgunned and outmanned. Did that go the way you thought it was going to go? Nope.
So that showed a horrible failure of a detailed hypothetical illustration. It got really detailed, but obviously he was able to have it used against him, so it wasn't used effectively, and Will Ferrell won, other than the coffee card. Instances will add depth and proof to an argument when used correctly, which it wasn't before. When they're alone, they're useless, though. If you're just telling a story and you have no meaning behind it, it's not going to lead the audience to any particular conclusion, but with the conclusion in mind, it will solidify arguments and add credibility to one's speech. The more variety with that, the better. It can be used to provide a powerful argument if you use brief examples with a detailed story especially. That way you're not just listing facts and you're also not just telling stories. You have the logic of having actual statistics and facts there with having the interest of stories and examples. So that's always fun. And topics. My friend George Zimmerman. Topics are our choice of what to make our instance or subject about, from the story at least. And topics for instances will usually be personal or family. They can be personal or family topics, which will be first-hand experiences. Usually that involves family life when you're talking about that. And they assist the audience in listening and memory because they're so relatable. We've all had first-hand experiences, and we have families of our own generally. So we have had situations usually, and a lot of times they repeat, and we can relate them to other people's situations and be interested in all that. Another topic is like famous topics like George. Well-known people and situations. So people will know what you're talking about already. They'll have a preconception going in, and you can use that to lead the listener to a main point. Another topic is business topics, which are business experiences, advice from self or others. So just basically any advice, and you can use that advice to go on to another point. And then the last one is humor, which can be any of those categories. It's the spectrum of funny stories, but you want to analyze the audience first, like in the case of George Zimmerman's prosecutors, who did not analyze the audience when telling their knock-knock joke at the beginning of their speech there. It's better to poke fun at yourself than others as well. That's just kind of a general note, because while others can be offended if you poke fun at them, generally if you're poking fun at yourself, you're not going to be offended by yourself. And then there's a personal topic about I will never forget, and this guy is teaching how to write a speech. And this is, I guess, in a series of videos of how to write a speech.
So let's go on to the second one, the second step formula that if I were to use, of course, after questions, I connect with the audience laugh, their guard are off, and then I sneak it right into my stories. But how do you connect? How how do you use stories to connect with your audience? And there are a whole series that I have talked about on how to create and craft stories like a director or a producer in Hollywood, because I've actually attended a $97 course that I have attended for I think about one whole day to learn about productions and also storyboarding your ideas and how Hollywood crafted their stories. So I will share that with you in my next video. But today I just want to give you a brief overview of what stories. In stories, you must use in a presentation format. Stories, you must use stories with dialogue. Many people would go out there and they would report a stories. They will go and say, oh, I talked to ABC, and ABC responded and said, he's not interested in me. And then I was really sad. That is good, but wouldn't it be better if you use dialogue in your speech? Because you do not want to report your speech or presentation. You want to relive it on stage. And then the audience will feel that they are in the picture. But one of the best ways to start a story is to use this phrase I call I would never phrase. I will never forget the moment when I meet Mary. I will never forget my first time when I meet Olga. Audience connect right away with this particular sentence because I would never forget. I would never forgive my aunt for doing that to me. I would never do this. I would never do that. That particular sentence has power when you start with your presentation with that particular two sentences. I would never do this. You said, I would never forget this thing. Audience will, oh, you would never forget. Audience wants to know more. So you need to start with this. I would never forget. I would never forget my first experience.
So basically he's talking about a personal topic and using the phrase I will never forget to start a personal topic, because when you're never forgetting something, we all have memories that we carry around with us, and that's a good way to connect with an audience and a topic once you're telling a story. The next part is another underused support, which is comparisons. Those can be literal or figurative, and it shows similarities or difference between two things, which is usually something that listeners know about and then something else that listeners don't know anything about.